Gone! It's all gone. All of it's gone. Bye-bye, see ya. 1 minute to defend the Venom movies in this new Sony Spider-Verse. Then suddenly you find yourself dealing with the 11th Doctor and the worst Joker ever, wrestling in the sky surrounded by CGI plasma. Oh, what a sham this was! They can't even get the end credit scene right. Years of anticipation wasted. I'm sorry. I'm just a little depressed, that's all. I gotta get through this. So when I first saw the trailer for Morbius, I was actually on board with it. Although I was kinda confused by the inclusion of the Vulture at the end. But other than that, I wanted to give this a chance, even through all the delays this has gotten. And hell, I was one of the few people who wanted to give Sony's new Spider-Man villain universe the benefit of a doubt. I actually like the Venom movies, even if nobody else did. So I went into this expecting something at least fun. This was anything but fun. From the get-go, I was already in trouble in the opening scene with Morbius, played by Jared Leto, who's at least trying in this one, he'll given that. But since he has this rare blood disease, he felt the best way to cure himself was to split his own DNA with that of vampire bats, which... Is it just me, or did they just copy the exact same origin story as the Lizard from The Amazing Spider-Man? Because in that movie, Dr. Connors tried injecting himself with lizard DNA to heal his amputated limb, only to turn into this giant lizard creature. But hey, it's not technically cheating if you're stealing from yourself, am I right? But anyway, after the opening scene with the bats, they just randomly cut to him as a kid. Like, what? I mean, I get showing his childhood to establish both his condition and his relationship with his brother, which I'll get to in a bit. But wouldn't it make more sense just to show it in chronological order? And it's not like Batman Begins, where Bruce Wayne is in training with Ra's al Ghul and he reminisces about the death of his parents and is exposed to Gotham crime. Here it's just like, okay, we're gonna show him with a vampire bat experiment. Oh, by the way, here's a random clip of him as a kid because... reasons. And the first moment I saw Matt Smith as Morbius' brother, I was like, villain? There's no way he's not gonna be the villain. I mean, not that he has any real motivation to be evil. He just took the same antidote as Morbius and he's just like, okay, I'm evil now, blah! Yeah, I mentioned that the acting is just bad. As I said, Jared's the only one who's trying, but the villain's a cartoony villain. The love interest is just there, and everyone else looks like they got no direction whatsoever. Hell, even the fight scenes were nonsense. Not only does Morbius look stupid flying around in CGI plasma or something, not only does his facial transformation look like something out of a Snapchat filter, not only is everything laughably centered to get a PG-13, like Morbius is slicing guys and there's no blood flying around, but it also does a 300 effect where it goes from slow motion to fast and slow then fast. Like, am I watching a superhero movie or playing a quick time event in a video game? And there's no real character development whatsoever. Morbius is still the brooding, emotionless guy he was in the beginning. The dynamic between him and the villain is not there. The romance is completely forced. Jeez, I thought After Yang had scenes that just happened with no cohesion. Plus, the titles with Venom are just idiotic. Like, when the authorities compared Morbius' attacks with incidents in San Francisco, I was like, okay, they're acknowledging Venom being in the same universe. That's kinda cool. But then there's the scene where Morbius goes to this lab and scares a scientist by saying, I am Venom. Blah! I was like, okay, what? What even was that? And I gotta talk about this end credits scene because this is honestly the worst end credits scene I've ever seen in a superhero movie. So if you want to go into this movie blind, skip to this. No, screw it. This movie doesn't deserve a spoiler filter because you shouldn't see this movie. Not only because it's one of the very worst comic book movies I've ever seen, not only because it was a huge waste of my time, but because giving money to this movie means you're giving Sony the right to bastardize Spider-Man's rogues gallery more than they already have. I hope this movie bombs at the box office because it's clear Sony has no real plan for Spider-Man. Don't believe me? Get a load of this correct scene. So remember how in No Way Home, Doctor Strange cast his spell to get these Spider-Man characters back to their universes? Well, apparently, Vulture just accidentally got sent to Morbius' universe, just assumes Spider-Man was behind this, and recruits Morbius to form this supervillain team. What? Like, did Sony even read the script before they even approved it? How is it that on set while filming and editing this scene, nobody was like, hey, does nobody else realize that this idea is the worst thing ever? Like, I thought they didn't care with all the continuity errors in Transformania. I gotta give Transformania an apology because it's like they cared even less in these last couple minutes. Like, first of all, if Deathspell is supposed to just get Green Goblin and Electro and Toby and Andrew back home, then why the hell did Vulture get randomly teleported too? Because he knew Peter Parker is Spider-Man? In which case, why aren't MJ and Ned sent to the Venomverse? Why is Nick Fury and Jonah Jameson and the remaining Avengers not sent away? Plus, how does Vulture know that there's even a Spider-Man in this different universe, let alone the Tom Holland Spidey? I mean, the trailer shows a picture of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but it gets cut out of the movie. Plus, how did Vulture even get his flying suit? I mean, Goblin was wearing his Goblin suit when he got sucked into the MCU, but Vulture was wearing his prison uniform when he got sucked in, so it just makes no sense. And it just proves that Sony doesn't even know what to do with these characters. So that begs the question, why don't they just sell the Spider-Man rights back to Marvel so that they'd at least portray these characters right? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because they're desperate. Desperate to make the cinematic universe after they completely failed with the Garfield films. Always shown in the absolute worst Marvel movie I've ever seen in my life. And it's not even a contest. It combines the cheapness of the 90s Captain America, the bleakness of the New Mutants, the all-out pointlessness of Elektra, and the forced world building of Van Forstic. All of these shitty elements combine to make this Frankenstein's monster of a product. I'm not sure if I can even call it a movie anymore because a movie's supposed to have a point and a plot and some emotional grab. This thing just has none of it. The editing's clumsy, the characters are just there without any development or emotional attachment, the effects and action sequences are a joke, the music's trying way too hard to be The Dark Knight, and the continuity errors are just unforgivable. And when even the end credit scene was complete garbage, then you know that Morbius gets the seal of rage. This is an absolute miracle of awful. I haven't been this flabbergasted at a movie with all these talented people since Don't Look Up, which, may I remind you, is still one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And usually when I review a bad movie, I'm like, I don't recommend this movie, but I'm not trying to stop you if you're still interested. But for this movie, though, I feel like it's important to say do not, I repeat, do not spend your money on this. Because not only will you spend 2 hours being bored and confused at the movie theater, but you'll be contributing to Sony making more of these things since they're selling the rights to Disney where they belong. Because if it can send the same message to Van Forstic and tell Fox that they demand better, then you can surely do the same thing to Sony. Because Spider-Man deserves better. You deserve better.